While I think Mario Party 9 is a very underrated game, even I can't deny that some of the changes it made to the Mario Party series were less than desirable. One of said changes was the lack of any new 2v2 minigames. Their replacement were these Bowser Jr. minigames, in which two players work together to defeat Bowser Jr. While I don't like these minigames as much as conventional 2v2s, I still find them quite fun. So today, I'm ranking all 10 Mario Party 9 Bowser Jr. minigames from worst to best. Just like always, this is only my opinion and no one else's, and concept still matters. Sorry, that's all there is for this intro, so let's go! Kicking off this list is Doublepounder. There are 8 colored switches, and the players must ground pound 2 of the same color in unison. If they can do so with all 4 matching pairs in the time limit, they win, but if the timer expires, they lose. I shit you not, that's literally all there is to it. To be honest, I don't really dislike this minigame, or any of them, but this one is just really simplistic and not all that fun. Sure, it requires teamwork and perfect synchronization, but when you think about it, most or even all of these minigames do, so that's not enough to save this from being the worst Mario Party 9 Bowser Jr. minigame. Again, it's not bad per se, but not really good either. Ninth place is Pedal to the Paddle. The players in BJ each have their own wheel platform, and they must keep jumping on it to progress toward the finish line. If the players reach said finish line first, they win, but if BJ gets there first, they lose. This one's kind of in the same boat as Doublepounder. It's quite simplistic, although a bit more intricate, and therefore a bit more fun. But despite that, this one's still too bland for me to put it any higher. I only rank it slightly above Doublepounder because it's a bit more challenging and immersive. But again, that's just not enough to secure it a good spot. So, Pedal to the Paddle paddles right toward 9th place. Such a prestigious award, I know. Eighth place is Mecha March. The players in BJ each have their own mecha, and the players must chase BJ and knock him out by swinging the Wii Remote with good timing and synchronization. If they can do so before BJ reaches the finish line, they win, but if they can't, they lose. Once again, that's all. To be honest, this is the most simplistic one yet. Actually, of all, probably. But at the same time, it's one of the most demanding in terms of synchronization, since the players take turns moving their mech, and they also have to be fast enough, while also being careful to not both swing at the same time. So that's why it's better than Doublepounder and Pedal to the Paddle, at least in my opinion. Mecha March marches toward 8th place. Coming in at 7th place is Crossfire Caverns. Each player surrounds BJ in a cavern, and must move around to stay on him and shoot his minecart with cannonballs. If they can nail 3 hits in the time limit, they win, but if BJ has even 1 heart left after said time limit, they lose. This one also requires good teamwork and synchronization, since BJ can zip all over the place, and it's even possible for players to hit each other, which will stun them. As weird as this may sound, I actually sometimes like games where friendly fire is a possibility, because it encourages you to play strategically instead of just being trigger-happy and firing willy-nilly. God, was that hard to say. In other words, Crossfire Caverns is unique, and it even has a cool concept, so it shoots right into 7th place. Sixth place is Bowser Pop. The players are operating a mobile seesaw and, with it, must launch each other upward to pop several balloons. The more consecutive jumps they make, the higher they'll travel, so they should be careful to move the seesaw to the right place so the airborne player can land on it more easily. Once they pop all the balloons, Bowser Jr. will appear with his own balloon, and they must pop his also. If done before time expires, they win, but if not, they lose. Yeah, good old balloon poppin'. Nothing's more fun than that, right? But seriously though, this one also requires good synchronization, and it's the first one that's significantly fun. All the ones before this were either too simplistic or uninteresting for me to consider them fun, but that stops here. Bowser Pop, pops for 6th place? I think I have a pun deficiency. 5th place is Sandstrap. BJ standing over several square sand platforms, and like in Doublepounder, the players must ground pound 2 glowing squares at the same time to make said sand platforms collapse, with the ultimate goal of making BJ fall into the pit below. If they can do so in the time limit, they win, but if not, they lose. Basically, this one's Doublepounder done right. The players not only need to be in perfect sync, but strategy is also important, since the only surefire way to beat BJ is to corner and then trap him, which can only be done by dissolving certain platforms. This minigame completely encapsulates what a Bowser Jr. minigame is supposed to be. It requires teamwork and perfect sync, with the added bonus of strategy, but despite this fact, it's just good in the fun department, not great, so that holds it back a bit. But don't get me wrong here, I love Sandstrap, enough for it to trap 5th place. Fourth place is Bumper Sparks. This is where they start to get really fun. The players and BJ each have their own clown car, and using them, the players must knock BJ into the electric fence. If they can do so 3 times in the time limit, they win, but if BJ has even 1 heart left after said time limit, they lose. This one's another simple one, but that's just it. It's nice and simple. Simple and simplistic are 2 different things, and like I said, it's really fun, with an original and epic concept. It may not require as much teamwork or synchronization as some other BJ minigames, but that's not a big deal. Sometimes, being just plain fun is enough to make a minigame awesome, and with that, Bumper Sparks is, sparky enough to earn 4th place. I thus diagnosed myself with PDD, pun deficit disorder. Third place goes to Cage Match. The players and BJ are all climbing on a great fence, and the players must chase and catch BJ. If they can do so in the time limit, they win, but if not, they lose. However, it's not quite this simple. BJ moves around quite fast and can even use gates to switch sides, which means the players, of course, must be in good sync and utilize teamwork. They could each take one side of the fence, and the player opposite BJ can stun him by hitting the fence, while the other player goes after him. That's the best way to dominate this minigame. This is sometimes easier said than done, but that just means it's challenging, and you know me, I love a good challenge. It also has a clever and original concept. I'd say all that's enough for Cage Match to cage 3rd place in. Running up is Zoom Room. There's a maze, and the players must run through it and try to trap and catch BJ. If they can do so in the time limit, they win, but if not, they lose. How many times have I said that? Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, no, actually. Hence the name Zoom Room. The players have a first-person view of the maze rather than an overhead one, which will make it harder for them to see BJ. Although, there is a small map to help them with this, there are also a lot of turns and paths that BJ can take to evade capture. This is another nice and simple one, but it's challenging at the same time. It also has a clever concept, and, once again, requires teamwork and synchronization. Sorry, that's all I can say for this minigame. Zoom Room zooms right towards 2nd place. Finally, number 1. By process of elimination, you should know what it is. It's pair of aces. Like in Bumper Sparks, the players and BJ each have their own clown car, and the players must use theirs to shoot cannonballs at BJ. They must do so 3 times, and, say it with me, if they can do so in the time limit, they win, but if not, they lose. I think I also have CRD, compulsive repetition disorder. But wait, there's more to it than just this. BJ can counterattack by breathing fire, and when he does so, the players must dodge, for if they don't, they'll get stunned. BJ also flies around quite fast, making himself pretty hard to hit. The best way to hit him is to predict where he'll fly next, and preemptively shoot towards that spot. In other words, the players have to be in perfect sync and utilize teamwork. Maybe not as much as some other BJ minigames, but even so, it's the most fun of them all, which, like I said earlier, is enough to make any minigame epic. Is there a treatment for CRD? Speaking of epic, its concept is also very epic. Stupid CRD. With all that, it's clear. Pair of Aces is easily my number 1 favorite Mario Party 9 Bowser Jr. minigame. Pair of Aces is awesome. Get it? Awesome? Awesome? Stupid PDD. So there you have it, my ranking of every Mario Party 9 Bowser Jr. minigame. For more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, please check out my social media. All links are in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Mikoro Glyscore 472, out.